light. The darkness deepens, Lord, with me abide. When other helpers fail and comforts flee, help of the helpless, oh, abide with me.
Sorry. Sorry, I hope you can hear me now. I don't know. I need to do something about this, my audio. I'm always forgetting at times to unmute myself. Thank you all. So I was saying, welcome all to Let's Discuss. For those of you joining us for the first time, you're welcome. For the regulars, you're welcome as well. And by grace of God, would have something good we can all go home with, something we can reflect on. We know the drill now. It's not just about one person, it's about everyone contributing so that we can see all sides of a particular matter. Oh, good evening. Hi, Yosin. Hello. Hi, Prof. Emeritus. You're all welcome. We're dealing with a very important topic today, get it done. The guest speaker for today at the last minute had something turn up which makes him unable to attend. Thankfully, I've prepared, so we should have a blast. We all have, and I'm going to generalize this because I'm what I'll call myself a serial procrastinator as well. I know at times we have different things we want to do, either for the Lord or for ourselves in our personal life, that we've been unable to get to. Every year or time keeps going by, we are unable to do it. And get it done could also refer to something small, annoying, but you need to do. Maybe you're not finding it exciting. Today, we'll talk about how to get things done in a way that would ensure that we have less things to worry about and less things to take into the new year. Because what I've discovered is that it's not about the new year, say New Year resolution, new me. The new me starts now. Don't wait for the new year to begin to implement your goals and plans. And there's some things, if you can do it this year, try and do it this year so that it doesn't cross over to next year. So welcome everyone. So let's go. I want to start this off with a we'll talk about three main points. The first point I want to raise is around, I've already prepared lots of information around this topic, but I felt let's keep it practical and simple. The first point I want to raise, and we'll just raise 3 on how to get things done. The first point I would raise is that time matters. What you are spending time on determines what you are doing. If I can break that down a bit more, the Bible tells us that, teach us to number the days of our life. It's not talking about the years, it's quite specific about the days. And what the Bible is trying to say is that so that we can apply our hearts to wisdom. So the first point to getting things done is understanding what you're spending time on. And you have to understand where you are currently. I've personal experience, and a lot of other people as well. At times we want to do some things, but we already have either conflicting priorities or activities that will take our time. Or in some cases, we have some other things which are either equally or less important, but more urgent. And when you have to balance all these things, it becomes very difficult to get things done, because the way our brain works is that our brain most times thinks about all the things we have to do. And because some of it's not getting done, it either allows the brain to slow down or feel overwhelmed. And in some cases, physically, you feel a weight on your shoulders because you're unable to do the things you want to do in the time you want to do it. The first thing we need to note in order to get things done is do a real critical evaluation of our time. And a few people have asked to do this. I did it many years ago, and I found it very, very, very useful. And what the person said is that try and write out what you do per day. So you don't have to say, 1609, I was in Let's Discuss. It could be as broad as wake up 7 a.m., between 7 and 8, still in bed, stretching, between 9 and 10, bath. And what they said is that by the time you are able to write out what you're doing, preferably on an hourly basis, so there'll be some activities that cuts across 2, 3, 4 hours. You then begin to understand what you are doing, because the only resource that cannot be regained is time. And the time you are spending on different activities, good evening. Yeah, the time you're spending on different activities determines the course of your life. It determines the course of even your relationship with God. Because if you're spending time on the things you know wouldn't take you close to God or take you close to the things you want to achieve, there's a need for a critical self-evaluation. What tends to happen, and this is why I disagree at times with motivational speakers, is at times you can be motivated or inspired to do things. You might say, I need to get this done. I need to do this, do that. This is my list. But at the end of the day, if you have other things that are already taking that time and you don't make a conscious effort to rebalance, you discover that you're fighting against the tide. And at the end of the day, you discover the work is still not done and the things you want to do is still not done. The top tip is time management. Do a critical evaluation of what are you spending your time on, and then see what needs to go or what needs to give. At times we try and do everything together, but we're limited. We're all given 24 hours. And within that 24 hours, we're told we need to rest up to 8 hours, at least 6 to 8 hours. We need to ensure that we don't overcram our days. I did a retreat once and I was looking at the list of the things I need to do. And I came to the realization that I can't do everything at the same time. And there was a need to choose what I was focusing on. And that was because I looked at the time I had for the different activities. You know, on the surface, you'd say, okay, Monday I'll do this, Tuesday I'll do this, Wednesday I'll do this. But what you don't know is you already have a meeting, you have a cell meeting, you have a prayer meeting, and at times things happen which take our time. Time management, I won't over-labor it, time. The second thing around getting things done is that at times the things that need to be done are not exciting or not palatable. And I'll explain. If you want to become, let me use it, like a skilled musician, it requires a lot of practice, back-breaking work where you are trying to develop the skill. When you're developing a skill, 80% of your effort wouldn't really be noticeable at the onset because you are building up towards it. And when your mind looks at what needs to be done, you now think, wow, this is a bit too much for me to do at once. There's no real immediate benefit because we like quick results. If someone were to tell you or tell us that it will take you 5 years to develop this skill, and once you develop this skill, you would have it for another maybe 40 years, we wouldn't be happy. We'll be looking at, how can I rush it and do it in a year so that I can begin to have all the benefits? The other thing around getting things done is understanding that the things that need to be done are not exciting. It could be things, especially if you're starting on a new skill, a new endeavor, a new phase of life, you need to spend a lot of time which may not give noticeable benefits, and that could cause discouragement. Or at times it could be something you don't like to do. Like some people naturally don't like to do things like admin work. Some people naturally don't like to socialize or call people. Some people don't like to read. They don't like to read because it's just more easier to watch a film or do something entertaining than serious focused work. There are many reasons and many tasks that we find unappealing, but the main thing is for us not to give up, not to look at that task in terms of it's not desirable, it's not something we would enjoy doing, but to see how we can either make it more exciting. I'll try and give a few examples. Recently, for many years, I've been learning to play the piano. I can play on one key, and I just felt I need to know how to play a bit better. And I've bought lots of materials, but I've not had the discipline to follow through because there's been a lot of other activities. And what I've done now is, first, like I said, I realized, okay, I don't really have much time for this. I need to be realistic. Then the second thing is, like we've mentioned, is understanding the need for doing things which are not exciting at the onset. It takes you to develop a skill will take 80% effort at the start. But once you master that skill, going forward or maintaining it will take like 20% effort. And if we have about 80%, so many things we're trying to learn or upskill on, it might be a bit too much. So you might have to juggle and say, okay, let me learn this new skill and keep the others and maintain the others because I don't need to spend more time or energy. That way, we discover that we can get things done. And I know it's hard letting go of some things because everything feels like you need to do it now, do it now, do it now. But prayerfully, you need to look at what will give the most benefits. So back to my story. Number one, I looked at my time. I discovered that I had so many other things on. And one of the things I had to do was start learning to delegate and giving things to people to help out with and being open and honest about it. Then the second thing was looking at it that I really hate that sitting down because I wouldn't see the results instantly. It's going to take a while. Yeah, okay. There's a comment now that sometimes you can still learn things by doing a thing 10 minutes a day. And I agree. I agree with that. You can if you are consistent with it. But like I said, in terms of learning, what's been proven is that when you're learning a new skill, it's up. They call it the upskill curve. So there's a curve for the learning. At the onset, that curve is very steep because you need to dedicate time and attention to learn a new skill. But that being said, new skill is relative. There are some skills that you can pick up with just 10 minutes dedication, with 1 hour dedication. But what I've found out is that to learn something that is a fundamental new skill, you need to dedicate the time and the effort to thoroughly master it. Else one can be in that learning curve for a long while. And once you master it, it now becomes easy to maintain. And when it becomes easy to maintain, you now have a better life going forward, an easier life going forward. The third thing I wanted to mention is, and I wasn't sure which word to choose for this because there is discipline. Discipline is so important. Personal discipline is so important to ensure that once you decide to do something, you stick to it. You wouldn't get it right all the time. You might disappoint yourself sometimes, but it's about rising up and not giving up. But there's also the word called persistence, which I think it's similar to discipline, but slightly different because persistence and discipline, persistent is you persist and you just continue. You don't give up, even when the odds are stacked around you. Can I tell us something which is really interesting? From my study and research, I discovered that I'm sure we've heard the words passion, we've heard the words mission, vision, and all those things, which are really important. What I discovered was that, and some people tell you, oh, your vision is the most important, passion is the most important, etc., etc. I discovered that they're all the same thing. A lot of those things are, when you think about the vision, people tell you, why are you doing this? Understand the why, on why you are doing things. Because when you understand the why, when the chips are down or you're getting discouraged, understanding the why will keep you energized to continue. So that's still persistence. Understanding your mission means this is what we want to achieve, and we wouldn't stop until we achieve it. So when disappointments come, you can still arise and continue. And things like passion as well is, if you're not passionate about something, it's easy for you to stop or abandon the project halfway, because challenges would always come when you're about to do most things in this world. And when those challenges come, your passion will be the thing that is holding you. If you love doing something, for you, it's no longer work. You are sold out to it. And that's why a lot of even multi-billionaires still continue doing what they do. Someone like Warren Buffett, he's made a lot of money, but he still continues doing what he does because he's passionate about it. He loves it. We can see in a nutshell, everything that we've been talking about, mission, vision, passion, it all comes down to ways of encouraging people not to give up when the going gets tough or when the journey becomes tough. A few people say, well, vision makes you see where you're going to. I agree, but at times where you see is not where you land. And most successful companies, at least on record, the top companies that have survived 100 years, the top 100 companies that have survived 100 years, and I'm not talking new companies who have stood the test of time, are not doing what they set out to do in the start. So I hope this helps someone. I'm not bad-mouthing all those things. I'm just saying, at the end of the day, if we distill it, it comes down to that discipline to continue. And what's driving that discipline? Is it because you're passionate about it? Is it because of what you see? Is it because of what you need to do? Is it because of a sense of calling? Or is it because of a sense of I'm going to overcome disappointment in order to get to the promised land? And the persistence is, I may fall, I may slip, but I'm going to rise up. And this applies to our spiritual life. At times, you say, I want to pray. You might fall and slip several times, but just don't give up. Don't give up. It's not over until you throw in the towel, and God will help us in Jesus' name. Some people might ask me, how does all this now relate to the Bible? Since we have a few more minutes, I'll just give one or two instances. Everything we've been talking about, the wisdom of time management, the wisdom of ensuring that we are disciplined, persistent, and follow through on things. Understand we may not like what we have to do, but we have to do them. If we open the Bible and go into Luke 2:52, it talks about Jesus. And the Bible described what Jesus went through. He said that he grew in wisdom, in stature, in favor with God and with man. That wisdom covers planning, time management, persistence, discipline, priorities, delegation, etc., etc. Stature is about being healthy and being fit, because no matter how much you want to do things, if you're not fit and healthy, you will struggle to achieve a lot of the things you want to do. Therefore, health is wealth. Health is important. And he said, favor with God, that's relationship with God, getting ideas, getting inspiration, because people will disappoint, situations will disappoint, circumstances will be challenging, but the only thing that will keep us going is God. And the final thing is favor with God, and that talks about communication, how to communicate with people, how to have, give gifts to appreciate people, have empathy, etc. Can I also share something interesting? There's a lot of talk these days about emotional intelligence. There's all those things around IQ, which are fine, but all of it is already in the Bible. When the Bible talks about the fruits of the Spirit, because of our time, we won't go into that, but the fruits of the Spirit gives you all the tools you need to have favor with man and favor with God. So we can see that I listed out 3 points, but there's so much more about it in the Bible. And by grace of God, one day we'll do like a full seminar. I know we are now piling up quite a number of webinars. God will help us in the new year in order to achieve it all. In conclusion, I would say, let's remember, even though Jesus grew in wisdom, he grew in stature, that physically, which enabled him to do the 40 days and 40 nights fasting. He grew in favor with God, which was why he was able to hear the direction to go into the forest and desert to be tested, and favor with men. But when he was now ready, the enemy came with him with 3 things. 1, doubt. Are you the Son of God? And so on, so on. Turn this stone to bread. As you decide to do something this evening, and I don't know what that is. I know some of you might be deciding, I want to do this, I want to do that. Write down those things. Write down those things right now if you have a pen. And doubts will come that, can you do this? Who are you to do this? You failed on it. You failed last year. You tried to do this. No one in your family has done this. You yourself, you've not done this, etc., etc. Those doubts will come, but we need to be able to tell them, it's not by bread, it's not by power or might or any physical stimulation. It's by the word of God. And the second thing is, the second temptation of Jesus, Satan was saying, jump down, do this, which is trying to make you take some risk, which are not really warranted. You don't need to prove anything to anybody. Just stick to your path. Things might go well or not go well. Just continue to be faithful and consistent, and don't overdo things. I know some people tried to get about with 4 hours of sleep. If it's for a short time, that might be okay. But if you continue continuously, that might have a bad impact. And the final point around it is, Satan gave Jesus the chance of worshiping him and getting all the glory of the earth, or going his own way, which is God's way. And the final point around it is, be ready for some pain. Be ready for doing things not to be convenient. Be ready to either wake up early in the morning to do some things. Be ready not to watch your favorite football match or follow your favorite football match because you have to do something you've agreed. Be ready to be uncomfortable in order to achieve the things you want to achieve. And once you're able to do that, this is a very good one. Pomodoro technique is very good. For those who don't know this technique, it allows you to put a time frame to doing some activities. And I think that can link into what Yosin said. So if, for example, you want to be reading a book and you don't want any distraction, Pomodoro is a technique where you focus your mind solely on doing something for a specific time. And I think there are some apps that helps you to time yourself. And once you're able to time yourself and come out of it, you are able to, that focused time then helps you to achieve more than spending more time mixing things together. So thank you, sir. That's a very good suggestion. And there's also further research. I know it's already 30 minutes, so I'll be rounding up now. There's also further research for those of you like some information like this, that 90 minutes every day is an optimum time to focus on high value activities. For example, you want to maybe develop your ministry or you want to do anything important, that if you set out 90 minutes, and this study dates back as early as 18 something, which is why the football match today is 90 minutes. It's 45 minutes, because they believe 90 minutes is the maximum a person can be focused on a particular thing. And that's why Hollywood, for many years until recently, most films maxed out at 90 minutes. And that's why you'd see some VHS cassettes and everything. The old cassettes were 90 minutes. So that 90 minutes, there are lots of other studies as well. But because of our time, anyone who wants to get more information, contact me and we can talk about it as well. That Pomodoro is very effective. I use it myself. At times when I want to brainstorm, I just set the clock, do it, and get it done. And for those of you, and that's why I want to start doing, God helping me very soon, I want to start using 90 minutes a day, dedicated to doing a lot of other activities. Okay, so there are some books. Okay, Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy helps to manage procrastination. That's good. And there's some other good books as well. So Eat That Frog is a really good one. And I'll recommend that we read as well. And can I suggest as well that we should try and read as much as possible the Bible and some good materials. I would say that Eat That Frog is a really good book around the books like Who Moved My Cheese. There are books. For me, one of the best books is Think and Grow Rich. I really enjoyed that book. But the book I found more powerful was by the same author, The Laws of Success. The Laws of Success is really good. And there is also the book that I still love, which is bigger or better than that, Laws of Success, is by Napoleon Hill, which is the Outwitting the Devil. That for me is one of my top 5 books of all time. I love it because he wrote a lot of books that has transformed people's life, and he himself was struggling, and he detailed all that, and it's a good Christian book. Okay, so you should do so many things at the same time. And so, yeah, this is something I have as well. But can I say, this might seem I'm contradicting myself, but there are some people who have the ability to multitask better. And by multitasking better, it's more about time management. It's about identifying what are my key 3 things I need to do, or key 1 thing. And when you identify the key 1 thing, then look at those other things, because there are a lot of things we do that we can easily delegate. I say that with a smile because delegation is not easy. At times you delegate, people don't do things well. But you have to, I think one of the things we have to start developing as leaders is to begin to delegate. Someone like Bill Gates wouldn't check, did they sell that computer at the right price or so? So he's put in place some systems, and there's a book I'm reading. Once I finish it, I'll be able to advise on that thing. It's around systems thinking, how you can turn your services and activities into products, and how you can create systems around what you do. Because once you have systems around what you do, it suddenly becomes easier. There's a contribution here that's the essence of delegation. I totally agree. But that delegation needs to be strategic, because I've, in the past as well, and even recently, I've tried to delegate things, but at times people don't have the same vision as you do, or the drive, or the level of discretionary decision making you would make. And in some cases, some people are just not up to the activity. Hence, there's a need to look at how to create systems, build systems, which is why when you walk into a big company, they have manuals, they have things, the way people need to do. There is induction, orientation, and things like that, because they've created systems where people can come in and flow and do what they need to do. And that's, I think, the level we need to begin to get into, to see what we are doing and know we don't have time to do everything, and create systems so that the work can still get done. Okay, yeah, so this is another one. It said, using the matrix urgency versus importance will help to know what to focus on personal. It's good for delegation and what to ignore. Yeah, and can I say this as well? This is a really good point. I've learned as well. There was a time many years ago, I was always busy. Busy. But I was doing some things that didn't add any value, not even to myself or anyone. But I kept doing it because I felt it needed to be done. And when I discovered that I had less time, I suddenly realized that, wow, okay, I need to stop this. I need to stop that. There are a lot of things we're doing that wouldn't make the difference. It's like, how will I say? It's like a football team. You need attackers to score the goals. You don't need to put 10 attackers if they wouldn't score goals. You might just need one or two very good ones. The way someone told me this about is that at times just think back and say, okay, what are the things I want to be known for? Then walk back from that point. So the matrix of urgency and importance, for some of us who are a bit new to it, it's a table whereby you use to identify what's important but not urgent. So it plots importance and urgency, because there are some things that are urgent but are not important. And those things tend to take most of our time. You might be planning to read a book and suddenly there's a call, someone calling you and saying, this my Lego, or this thing happened here. At that time it's urgent because your phone has rang and it's someone you know. But that time distracts you from doing what is important but not urgent. And when what is important but not urgent now becomes urgent, because you've not done it all the while, it now becomes difficult to really meet up. Personally. So thanks so much. Yeah. So I'll be rounding up now. I think this has been a very good conversation, and thank you all for your contributions. I wish I knew some of this even 2-3 years ago. And I was sharing with someone that I believe this year my journey with God has taught me a lot of things, and a lot of things that I now know how to put right that in a few years ago I never knew. So things like that, systems thinking, think about the products, think about how to manage your time. It's so important. And we need to sit back, especially people who are multi-talented, to say, what will give me the most impact? And when you identify one thing, like I said, 80% effort at the start, put that 80% effort, go all out for that. Then every other thing can now be added on, because you will then have time to do other things. A friend of mine decided that he needed time to start his business, and he left his job, left everything, focused on that. And when he focused on that, the business grew, because he said, look, I've been doing this business on the side. It's not really taking me to where I want. and he took time off, focused on that, only that. And when he focused on that, and the business now boomed in about 2 years, he's now got to a point where he now has more time for God. He has more time to do some of those things that were conflicting with his attention. So thank you very much. So let's focus on the big ones. Use that matrix urgency to know what's critical. Identify what's the golden egg and the goose that lays the golden egg. And let's keep that one. And let's not kill the other eggs or the other chickens, but let's put them in the backyard. Let's focus, put all our eggs in one basket and watch it. And when that grows, we can then start picking from other places. So thank you, everyone. God bless you. Have a wonderful week. Get it done, because that thing you've been procrastinating for could also be the difference between fulfilling destiny or just being okay. And by the grace of God, we would all fulfill our destiny. Get that thing done. The reason it's been on your heart is because God wants it to be there. It's a constant reminder. It's not going to go away. It's not going to get better. So it's time to now focus on that thing and get it done. And God will give us the power and the grace to fulfill it. That thing that is troubling you, and the reason it's troubling you is because it needs to be done, and you are the right person to do it. God will bless us all in Jesus' name. Pareto rule is a good guide, 80-20. Focus on 80. And maybe we'll have another session on this. I really love this topic. It's really good, because after the 80-20, you can now break it even down to discovering that there is the 40% rule, which is, I think, is it the 5%, is it 4% that gives the 40% or something. So there are lots of good stuff we can focus on this, and God will help us in Jesus' name. So we need to focus on what gives us the most joy. Life is too short. Make sure you are not a passenger in your life. Make changes. Ensure you are enjoying life, because it's too short. It will be gone in a twinkle of an eye. Let's do the things that make us happy, and let's do the things that make God happy. Okay, so have a wonderful week. To also go for it. Yeah, that's it. So everyone, go for it. Have a great week. Make sure there's testimonies at the end of this week. God bless you. Remember, go for it. And I'll leave you with this short song. Yeah, have a wonderful week all.
Come on! Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Give thanks with a grateful heart. Give thanks to the Holy One. Give thanks because He's given Jesus Christ, His Son. Let me tell you this. And now, let the weak say, I am strong. Let the poor say, I am rich, because of what the Lord has